Hey, what's up guys? Aaron Bennett here. In this video, I'm going over the Celsius UCC town hall that happened yesterday on Tuesday. I'm going to give you my overview of everything that went down that I think is very important, and the topics I'm going to cover, just reading off of my notes. Why did the UCC agree with Kirkland that the coins that we deposited are owned by the estate? Now, this is something that over 40 people submitted documents to the court objecting to, and when we heard about this, a lot of us, myself included, were very put off, thinking that, is the UCC working against us? What's happening? Then I'm going to touch on why did the UCC not present video evidence that showed that we, the creditors, were misled, a lot of what the management was saying week after week. And next, I'm going to talk about, is Alex still in control? And are people that he put into power, like David Barse and Alan Carr, who are helping with this restructuring, are they just doing Alex's bidding, and what the UCC thinks about that? I'm going to talk about an updated claim form. I'm going to talk about the examiner and how they are looking into misrepresentation. I'm then going to talk about the reorg plan if Celsius submits it, and what the UCC says about this plan, how it would be approved, and what the UCC would do if the plan was not specific enough or not giving enough information. And then I'm going to finish the video talking about GK8, this recent sale, and what this means for the future of Celsius, and is there potentially still a reorg in the cards? So if you're not already subscribed, click the subscribe button. Not only am I covering Celsius super in depth, but I'm also going to be doing more giveaways in the future. So let me start out with the first question. Why did the UCC agree with Kirkland? And Kirkland is the firm, again, representing Celsius, which is the debtor. Why did they agree that the coins are owned by the estate? Essentially, in the terms of service, we agreed to give up title of our assets to Celsius, and that is this big contention happening right now and will most likely be passed, and I will talk about what that means and if that should be anything to be worried about or not. So the UCC said that legally, he believes, we transfer title via the terms of service. Now, even though I believe we were strong-armed and we did not know what we were signing, and the management did not tell us because they knew it would scare people away, that this new terms of service was going to completely change the title of our coins and essentially giving title to Celsius, even though that happened, the UCC says that legally it still is probably going to hold in court. But the UCC says that if Celsius has title of our coins, it's actually going to be helpful to us, the creditors, and here's why. If we, the creditors, hold title to our coins, that means that the terms of service would be voided. Essentially, everything that we signed would essentially be thrown under the rug, because what they're saying is you can't pick and choose what parts of the terms of service we want to uphold. We would have to throw out essentially all of it. So if that happened, the equity holders would join us as creditors. And then what we would get back would be much more diluted, to the tune of like $700 million. And in addition, we have a better chance of having a claim at all of these Celsius entities. And the second reason that the UCC is supporting Kirkland in this is because if the coins were our property, then a new company, or I guess you could call it a standalone reorganization, this is what Celsius wants to ideally create, this would not be possible, and the UCC says there would therefore be no chance of being made whole, because just mining and GK8 and future litigations and money basically that could come back into the estate would not be enough to make us whole. So that is their second reasoning. If we had title of the coins, there would not be any chance of making us whole. And a lot of us honestly would be okay with that. I think at this point, we just want our freaking money back, and we'd be okay taking a haircut and saying, you know what, we're out, screw you, screw everybody. We don't want to be made whole. We just want our coins to invest in this bear market. But again, that is their second reason. And the third reason is that the UCC claims there would not be an equitable distribution of coins. So let's say Celsius owes $1 million of a certain altcoin to the creditors, but they only have 10%. But then there's another altcoin where Celsius has 90%. So what the UCC is saying is that if the coins are deemed ours, then if Celsius just has 10% of our coins, we're going to get a much larger haircut on those coins. Whereas if Celsius has 90% or 95% of a certain coin, people who hold that coin inside of their wallet will get a much larger percentage back. So that is their third argument. I don't know if that really is true. I can't imagine why they couldn't just basically sell everything into Bitcoin only or Bitcoin and Ethereum, kind of like what Simon was talking about, and then equitably distribute Bitcoin and ETH to everybody in a way that is fair. But this is the third reason why the UCC is in support of our coins being property of the estate. So I want to pause just for a moment, talk about iTrust Capital, just because this is where I have my Roth IRA. I am investing in Bitcoin in my Roth IRA, so that means at 59.5, I can take this money out. Hopefully it's a lot more than $3,000 or so when I'm 59.5. So you can invest in a normal IRA, transfer an IRA. There are a couple different accounts here, and I also like that they are using Fireblocks and Coinbase custody to hold our crypto. So there's a link below if you want to create a crypto retirement account where you're going to get $100 when you go ahead and set up an account. So the next thing they talked about is why didn't the UCC present evidence, like video evidence of Alex or other executives saying things that were against the terms of service? For example, Alex in his AMAs saying that the coins belong to you. There are some clips of that. Why didn't they show the judge that? Well, for one, they want the coins to belong to Celsius right now, for reasons that I just talked about. So that would make things a lot more complicated if that is their goal. And by goal, it's what they believe will be the best for the creditors. But the UCC did say that future personal lawsuits are still left open. They did not close the door for those, but in the end, the UCC says they think the decision was right, and that, again, it will help all the creditors in the long run. And Scott Duffy, who is a member of the UCC, was on this town hall, and he said that it was hard for him to realize at first that this was the best plan to get most of our coins back. Hearing that the UCC, which represents the creditors yourself, says they want to have the coins belong to the Celsius estate, you're like, no, like hell no, right? We don't want Celsius to continue to use our coins in ways that we don't agree with. So Scott did say that, yeah, he understands exactly why you'd feel that way and why I felt that way. And ultimately, it took him a while to realize this was the best route. So next, Cam Cruz had a point or an objection or a concern, I should say. Essentially, if a standalone reorganization emerges, and we know that Alex controls a major voting block through being a director and possibly through his Cell token holdings, and he is friends with David Barse and Alan Carr of the restructuring committee, could that potentially lead to a bad future for Celsius? And could these executives that Alex put into positions of power, could they do Alex's bidding, essentially? And the UCC addressed this head on. They said that if they get any sense that there is some shady behavior happening, or there are things that are not in the best interest of the creditors, or anything like that is happening, they will object and they will not let that happen, essentially. So the UCC can't imagine that would be happening, but it is a valid concern, because Alex still has power right now, and he had power before he left as CEO, and being a director, he still has a say in things. So I liked the question. I also liked the UCC's answer to this. And by the UCC, I know I've been saying that for a long time, it's actually just White & Case. It's their law firm who was talking for the most part. Gregory Pesch, I believe, was doing most of the talking. So the exclusivity date is moved to February 15th, which is kind of old news, but I just wanted to share that. So we have like 2 months or so for Celsius to present a plan. An update on the claim form. So White & Case of the UCC said that they are working with Kirkland to create another claim form. So I mentioned this in a video a few days ago, where there are a lot of creditors who want to have a claim against not just coins, right, but claims against fraud, misrepresentation, all sorts of things. So White & Case of the UCC said that they are in contact with Kirkland to hopefully get another claim live. So what does this mean if you have not submitted a claim? Well, right now, there's only one claim form. Ultimately, if your coins are inaccurate, meaning what they have in the schedule of financial affairs, the SOFA documents, as they call it, or what they emailed you, basically, if that is inaccurate, your coin, what they say they owe you, then you submit a claim. But right now, if that is accurate, you do not need to submit a claim, because the claim form they have right now won't allow you to do some of the things that David Adler, the lawyer, has said may be a good idea, and also what Celsius Loans has said as well. So I'll update you if there is a new claim form. Next, the UCC said that the examiner is looking into the misrepresentation issue. which I think is very good. And real quick, I want to talk about this new Ledger hardware wallet that literally just came out, and there is a pre-order for it. Ledger already has 2 other devices, which are incredible. This one is just cooler, So if you don't have a hardware wallet and you need one, there is a link below. It is an affiliate link. I am going to get like a little bit if you purchase one. So whether or not you pre-order this new one, which has this e-ink touchscreen, or you get to the original 2, it really doesn't matter. But essentially, this new one has all of these cool little features like wireless charging and whatnot. So there is a link below if you want one. And now let's get back to the video. Next, talking about the reorganization plan. So what White and Case said is that it must be incredibly detailed, and Celsius cannot flub any income projection statements. Basically, it must have an adequate disclosure statement, and if there is any issue with this reorg plan, or if there is anything that is like, why aren't you including this? They will object, they will push Celsius to get all this information, and ultimately, my take is that there's no way for Celsius to present a plan that is not fully fleshed out in a way that anybody would have any questions about. Okay, so how are you going to produce revenue? What's happening here? It's going to have to be completely detailed in order for it to be approved. And that's good because there have been some documents over the last couple months where Celsius does not present everything 100% transparently, like with mining or with other income sources, where they will just show the USD value of things, but not show it in actual crypto. So things that can change based on market conditions. So it's good that the UCC addressed this and said in a reorg plan, there won't be any ambiguities. And speaking of the plan, somebody asked about, will Alex and other insiders, not just Alex, people who are insiders, who have a large bag of Cell token, will their massive holding of Cell token give them more voting power and give them more power to say if they want a reorg to go through? And ultimately, the UCC said that insiders do not have sway over these votes. So there is some clause or something in the bankruptcy law that says this. And just because Alex has millions of dollars of assets in his account, Cell token being most of it, I believe, that won't give him more power to sway the voting process. And regarding the voting process, every depositor will be split up into classes. So right now there will be an earn, a custody, probably an equity class. Each class will need 66 2/3% of the votes to be in favor of a plan. And I believe they said there needs to be 50% of the people in the class to vote. So we are not there yet. There is nothing to vote on now, nothing to do at the moment at all, but just letting you know what will happen in the future. So finally, let's talk about GK8. This was just sold to Galaxy Digital, and Simon Dixon wants Galaxy to pay Celsius in Bitcoin to help fill this, I think, 60,000 Bitcoin hole that Celsius has on their balance sheet. So it makes a lot of sense, right? We have a massive hole. We can use this, I think it's $44 million, whatever that is after taxes, I don't know, let's just say $35, $40 million, who knows, to basically buy Bitcoin and send that Bitcoin to Celsius and maybe have a clause saying, hey, Celsius, you cannot sell this Bitcoin. It has to go back to creditors to fill your hole. Well, the UCC said, that may be a good idea, but most likely this will not go through in the courts because it's too extreme, or they don't really get it, or the judge may not really understand it. I don't know. So most likely it won't go through, but I think it's a really good idea if it could. And the UCC said that they are not just selling all of our assets like some people thought, myself included, right? And a lot of us did. They said for GK8, it was very specific. Apparently, there was something with the founders of GK8, and they said they may leave the company if they did not get bought out. Something like that, if I could interpret it. So this was an intentional sale based upon outside factors, like the founders leaving, and then if the founders left, they couldn't sell it. I don't know if they are going to sell the mining. I don't know if they're going to sell the loan book. I don't know what they're going to do. But apparently that's what the UCC said. So how does this all relate to Simon's original plan? Well, they sold GK8. Salt Lending is having trouble. So really, Simon could still offer basically shares in a new co, which could still include some assets like mining and like the proceeds of future litigations. And especially the mining, potentially, if it's going to be profitable soon, which is up for debate, then in the next bull run, that could be sold. And that could be a way to get us more of our coins back. So guys, that's it for the recap. Hope this was helpful. We have today, Celsius is going before court to talk about the custody and withhold issues. So that is happening today as I'm recording this, Wednesday, December 7th. So I will let you know what happens with that. Ultimately though, guys, we are kind of in the ride and we are not in the driver's seat, which is very, very challenging. Now it's important again to remember, I'll just finish on this point, that if the judge deems the coins to be property of the Celsius estate, it does not mean that they stole our money and does not mean that they can just go to Vegas and go gamble with our money. The judge actually used that example in the hearing. They're like, this does not mean that you can go to Vegas. And that's true. I think the judge is very, very understanding that these are individual people, mom and pops, people that put their life savings in there. He knows. So anything that Celsius does is going to have to be approved by the court. Any sale of coins, any movement of coins, basically everything. And I do believe that the judge is not going to allow Celsius to be reckless. So ultimately, I'm hopeful that the judge is going to be in our favor and the trustee is definitely in our favor. We have state regulators in our favor as well, fighting for us. The UCC, I believe, is fighting for us. They just went about it in a way that now I'm beginning to understand, but ultimately it was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Sorry for the F-bomb. And that's basically it, guys. So hope this was helpful. And till next time, talk with you soon and bye for now.